The United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee face a lawsuit over the Trump executive order. California calls for a study on youth sports and opportunities to play, but do trans youth fit in the equation? Minnesota tells the Trump administration no deal on bowing to the Trump executive order. Nikki Hiltz ends a strong season in a battle in the front at Athlos, and we look at the upcoming Supreme Court hearing over trans inclusion in school sports. How did we get here? And what's at stake? Hello again, everybody. This is Transpositions Sports. I'm Karleigh Webb. At the top, some breaking news. USA Fencing and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee are facing a lawsuit tonight because of the Trump executive order. The suit is being filed by Dina Jukic, a transgender woman fencer who hasn't competed since 2022 but was looking to get back in the groove this season. But the organization changed their policies in response to the Trump executive order 2 months ago, barring transgender women from competing in women's sports. Jukic is sued in the New Jersey Superior Court, challenging the policy as discrimination. It came after the fencer attempted to register for the Premier Challenge tournament in New York last month. According to Jukic's attorney, Susan Cirilli, quote, "Tournament organizers beware that implementing the transgender policy may violate New York state law where an event is taking place. As stated in the pleading, upon information and belief, the USOPC and USA Fencing worked together and conspired to ensure that transgender women were included from women's competitions." Now, USA Fencing has declined any comment from any news source, and the Sports Authority updated its transgender and non-binary participation policy 3 months ago, and USA Fencing Board announced the coming changes in April. They made the policy changes in August. Now, a California bill requiring a commission to study inclusion in youth sports, including trans youth, was signed into law by Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom on Monday. The Youth Sport for All Act, AB 749, calls for the formation of a committee that aims to bring in people who work with youth sports in the state, appointed by the governor and the state senate and assembly, to look how they can build more opportunities for participation. Now, the major principle, according to the bill, is to improve access and involvement in sports for all youth, regardless of demographics, race, orientation, gender identity, disability, income, or geographic location. For the opposition, largely Republican, gender identity is the sticking point, and for GOP legislators, the bill is seen as a means to further oppose the president's executive order that calls for a nationwide blanket ban on transgender women and girls in women and girls sports. Republican State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones said in an open letter to Governor Newsom last month, quote, "The author and supporters of AB 749 know if they were upfront and put forth a straightforward bill allowing biological males to compete against young women and girls, it would easily be defeated. So instead, they're trying to establish a stacked commission to indirectly rig the issue in their favor." The state of California has publicly opposed and ignored the president's executive order despite the threats coming from Washington, citing California state law and the regulations of the California Interscholastic Federation, the state governing body for high school sports. Now, trans advocates have noted some mixed messages in 2025, however. While the CIF has stood for inclusion, it also put forth a rule last May that would add cisgender girls to a championship field or call for additional awards to be given to cisgender girls who finish behind a transgender girl in certain sports, i.e. the situation with A.B. Hernandez at the CIF State Track and Field Championships last May. Newsom also supported the CIF compromise regulations, but has also publicly stated and this opinion on his podcast in March.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
So
it's deeply unfair.
Would you speak out against this young man, A.B. Hernandez, who right now is going to win the state championship in the long jump? I can see you wrestling with it.
No, I'm not wrestling. I'm not wrestling with the fairness issue. I totally agree with you.
Minnesota state officials are rejecting the federal government's ultimatum to ban transgender students from competing in high school sports or risk millions in funding. Last week, President Donald Trump's administration accused the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota High School Sports League of violating Title IX. Now, Minnesota high school sports has had regulation on this since 2014. But in releasing the findings, the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services gave the MDE and the MHSL 10 days to resolve the violations. And the MHSL and the High School Sports League, and the Department of Education followed the lead of Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who preemptively sued the Trump administration over the issue in April. Minnesota was at the center of discussions earlier this spring when a starting pitcher for a state championship softball team at Champlain Park High School was reported to be a transgender girl. Neither the student athlete or the school publicly affirmed her gender identity. Turning to some trans joy tonight, Nikki Hiltz ended a strong season at the Athlos track meet last week in New York City. They were entered in the women's mile. They have the second fastest mile by an American ever. And early on, they were in the scrum with Kenya's Faith Kipyegon and Ethiopia's Gudef Tsegay. But Kipyegon and Tsegay broke away, and Kipyegon did what the best middle distance runner in the world can do. One going away in 4 minutes, 17.78 seconds. Tsegay was second. Hiltz was the best of the rest. They finished third. Now, let's talk about a little trans joy for a minute. Let's talk about Nikki Hiltz in 2025. Here's all they did. Doubled at the USA Track and Field Indoor Championship, national titles at 1,500 and 3,000 meters. They were a face of the Grand Slam track tour this year, and they were competitive. They opened up the tour with a surprise win in 800 meters in the opening round at Kingston, Jamaica. They were second overall in the short distance group for the competition. They won their third straight U.S. outdoor title at 1,500 meters, and that earned them a trip to the World Championships in Tokyo. And at those World Championships, made the finals, had their best championships or Olympic finish in their career. They were fifth. And also third last Friday night at Athlos down in the Big Apple. Also, happy birthday to football versus transphobia titan and Truck United regular Natalie Washington. Washington's been outspoken on the FA ban on trans women that was implemented earlier this year. And she's still talking and she's still playing. Happy birthday, Natalie. When we return to Transposition Sports, we look at the upcoming Supreme Court hearings. How did we get here? And what are the stakes? And Karleigh's commentary tonight on a mayoral candidate who's not throwing trans people under the bus for a vote. That and more to come. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. This is Transposition Sports. Stay with us.
Meow, yeah, 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 meow, yeah. Wait a minute, Kitty's gonna get it. 4 paws in when I'm standing on business. I'm the kitten, all the rhinos spitting. This show can't handle all the cuteness that I'm getting. I'm not a beginner, no, I'm a winner. Hurry up, Karleigh, go get me my dinner. If Karleigh can spit rhymes, so can I. I'm Kirby the Cat. We'll be back.
But this is another example of how you just hate us. You just hate us. You just hate us, say Riley. You know you're really dumb. Still upset that a trans woman won. It's been 3 years, girl, ain't you tired? Leah is a champion. You're still a whiner.
I interrupt Transposition Sports because I'm cute and I can't. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Karleigh.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad.
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb, and we're going to take a look at the Supreme Court tonight. The hearings on the Save Women's Sports Acts in Idaho and West Virginia are coming up in the next few weeks. So, exactly how did we get here, and what does it all mean? As the COVID pandemic shut down the world, Idaho Governor Brad Miller signed HB 500, banning transgender girls and women from interscholastic and intercollegiate athletics. But one student athlete didn't take it lying down. Lindsay Haycock, a transgender woman who was a freshman at Boise State University seeking to try out for the cross-country and track teams at the school. She sued the state, and what happened? 2 lower court appeals and a controversy involving Boise State in a different sport 4 years later. The law has been on hold since their appeal in 2020, leading up to a Supreme challenge that will still happen, despite Haycock's bid to try and have her case withdrawn. In 2021, West Virginia passed a similar law. The target here was Becky Pepper Jackson, then an 11-year-old middle schooler who just wanted to run cross-country and track. She's been a target of the big money anti-trans machine since winning an appeal, first in the lower courts and then in the U.S. Supreme Court in 2023. Now that push included a coordinated protest at a middle school meet in 2024, and that led to a visit from you-know-who.
Riley Gaines, American transphobe. Riley Gaines is there.
The Attorney General of West Virginia then is now the governor, Patrick Morrisey, and he demeaned Becky Pepper Jackson on statewide TV. But what would you expect? After all, he's a Republican.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
You have people, this came up in Bridgeport recently, that someone is doing a shot put. I praised the little girls who walked off and didn't compete because they have to face a male. You don't want little girls to be facing hulking males in the locker rooms.
Morrisey has been pushing for the law to be heard in the Supreme Court, and now he gets his wish. But what are the stakes? Currently, 32 states bar transgender women and girls from interscholastic and intercollegiate sport. 18 still allow it. Now, if the Supreme Court rules for these laws, it opens the door for challenges in the rest of the state or for a nationwide federal ban. The case will be heard at some point in this fall term, possibly in late October or early November. A decision will not get made until July 2025. That means the law could still be subject to legal challenges in a number of states. But it also means that students like a Becky Pepper Jackson or A.B. Hernandez out in California can still play their sport, at least for now. Finally tonight, Karleigh's commentary on the story of a politician who didn't run scared. Running scared seems to be a lot of what liberals and progressives have been doing since the last election cycle when it comes to trans rights. Oh, I'm for transgender people as long as it doesn't cost me votes. The foul taste of 2024 is still in the palate of many transgender Americans, myself included, where the Democrats largely stayed silent, while the Republicans spent $220 million making out transgender Americans as the new boogeyman. But in the New York mayor's race, Zohran Mamdani, the political darling of the moment, put this ad out this week.
Everyone calls me Sylvia. I've had this name for 9 years. This is respect.
I'm on the Christopher Street Pier, or as it was called in Sylvia Rivera's day, the Christopher Street Docks. In the 1970s, homeless queer New Yorkers had been pushed to the margins of a hostile society. But it was here, on the physical margins of our city, that they found a home. Sylvia was one of those New Yorkers. She arrived here at the age of 11, where she immediately landed in the center of the gay rights movement. She befriended the legendary Marsha P. Johnson, protested at Stonewall, and led marches for equality. But even among the queer community, trans New Yorkers were excluded. Rivera and others were discouraged from walking in pride, their participation erased from Stonewall history.
I believe in us getting our rights, or else I would not be out there fighting for our rights.
This cruelty took a toll. Rivera developed a substance abuse problem and was often homeless. When she had nowhere left to turn, she would sleep here, waves lapping nearby. Yet no matter what hardships she faced, Sylvia Rivera advocated for others. She and Johnson founded STAR to house and feed trans kids. The Christopher Street Pier is like our city, a place of immense contradictions. It's where outsiders found belonging, and it's also where Marsha P. Johnson's body was found. The victim of a suspected murder no one was ever prosecuted for. But even amidst this, we can chart a clear path forward that makes our city inclusive. Since taking office, Donald Trump has waged a scorched earth campaign against trans people. The man with the most power has expended enormous energy targeting those with the least. New York will not sit idly by while trans people are attacked. We'll deploy hundreds of lawyers to combat Trump's hate, make New York City an LGBTQIA+ sanctuary city, and create the Office of LGBTQIA+ Affairs to allocate millions for youth and adult housing programs, as well as gender-affirming care. We can't bring Sylvia back, but we can honor her memory by building a city where trans New Yorkers are cherished. In a time of darkness, New York must be the light.
One thing I'll say for Mr. Mamdani, the man's not running scared. Throughout his entire campaign, whether it's been his planks, his policies, and now this ad, the man's running to win, and I respect that. Not that winning's too hard, look who he's running against. But the mere fact that this man with all to run for and a head on the cards, looking to win, did not throw trans people under the bus, but in fact said openly, I'm going to support transgender New Yorkers when I'm in office. That says a lot. And this ad drove quite a few people across social media to tears. Now, it didn't necessarily drive me to tears, but I'll tell you what. I like what I saw, Mr. Mamdani, and I tip my hat to you. You don't have to throw transgender people under the bus to get a vote. And I hope in November, voters get that message and put Zohran Mamdani in the mayor's office. For Transposition Sports, I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.